Brother Manuel was talking, and we're looking at the continued scapegoating of poor people, he's absolutely right. That, for an example, somebody parking their car, collecting tickets, and then they put that boot on the car. Now that means in order to drive that car, I don't know how much you spend to get a boot off of a car. Anybody know?
It's over $500.
It's over $500.
It's over $500.
And
what you owe on the ticket, and then out here in Oakland, they made it so where you got to use a credit card.
Yeah.
Got to use a credit card.
Man,
Yeah.
there's boots all over Oakland now.
Yeah.
I saw a boot on Foothill the other day.
They got permission to do it.
Some poor brother's truck.
Yeah, they have a key. They have a key apparatus on the boot, and you just call it in, use your credit card, they'll give you the code and release you.
They got a skillful way to keep you broke.
Exactly.
But as our brother was talking about the gang injunctions and our young people that carry weapons, keep in mind there's a movement that has arisen, particularly since the election of President Obama.
Right.
And that is for the open carry of weapons. And there's a strong movement for that in the Bay Area, particularly in Concord, Livermore, Antioch, all the places we tried to move to when we thought the rent would be cheaper and found out the highway drive will break you anyway. But all those areas now have open carry movements going on. In fact, in one Starbucks, for an example, when they came in with the group with all their guns on their hips exposed, and by law, you have the right to carry a weapon not concealed under certain conditions. Well, there are now groups that have walked into restaurants where 15, 20 people got guns showing. They're not police officers. Business owners and management becomes concerned, calls police. I watched on television news as the police approached one man with a gun on his hip. They were so polite.
Ooh, yeah.
It was so kind. I would imagine it's a good thing that that man with a gun on his hip didn't look like Brother Oscar.
Wow.
And the officer came up very polite. "Excuse me, sir, do you have a permit for that weapon?" And I would imagine the young men that you embraced probably didn't have a permit for the weapon. And if they wore the weapon on the exterior, I don't think there'd be any doubt. It'd be shoot first, figure it out later.
Right.
And so we're living in a very volatile time. But if you'll notice, the treatment of those that carry these weapons differs. Just a few weeks ago, in one of our town hall meetings in San Francisco, as it has been addressing the continuous toxic poisoning there in the Bayview Hunters Point area, the company responsible for the poisoning, Lennar, sent an undercover recording device possessing armed agent into the town hall meeting, which was hosted at the Mosque and Center for Self-Improvement on 3rd Street. Now, anyone that knows anything about the Nation of Islam knows that we don't carry weapons, nor do we permit them in our presence. But since this is the Center for Self-Improvement hosting a community meeting, it wasn't a Muslim meeting, it was a community meeting that included the Environmental Protection Agency and others that were to share reports on the problems that they've been experiencing and to hear from the community. This man comes in with a gun. When it is realized that he had a gun, one of the kind brothers asked him would he please step outside. And now y'all can't touch me. Now he's got guns on, he's throwing his hands up in the air, so I don't know about you, but if I'm facing somebody with a gun that I can see and their hands are flying too fast, that's a threat.
Yes.
Y'all with me now? So the brothers arrested the threat, got him under control, and called OPD to come and get them. Not OPD, SFPD to come and get the man. And so he remained under citizen's arrest. You may have read it in the Chronicle.
Yes.
But he came under citizen's arrest because the only reason for bringing a gun into a town hall meeting and you represent the enemy of the cause of the town hall meeting is You perhaps thought that you could fight with or intimidate those that have been calling for justice. Well, they discovered they were fighting against the wrong God. That's kind of what they discovered. An arrest was made, but no charges, to my knowledge, have been filed against the man that came into the town hall meeting with a gun and a tape recorder thinking that he would threaten everybody. And immediately, the mainstream media began to make excuses for the man. They said he's a retired cop. Well, so what? You're retired. Does that give you permission to use your weapon as an intimidating factor in a public meeting? And at the time of the arrest, he didn't have any permit with him, but they reported in the Chronicle this was a man with a permit to carry a weapon. Well, where's your permit? When I drive my car without a license, I can go to jail for driving without a license. You can't. Sorry, officer, I forgot my wallet a couple of occasions. By God's grace, I haven't been pulled over. Where's my wallet now? But I've driven without my license on occasion enough. I've never had to engage law enforcement without that ID. I did have to engage Soledad State Penitentiary without that ID. That was a rough day. They let me in, but there was no guarantee they were going to let me out because I had to show my ID to get out. I can see him now. You look like one of the inmates. But that's why I wore a suit, sir. All right. But it was a big thing. We had to go get the captain and the warden's permission and all that for me to maneuver without an ID. I needed permission to be on that prison yard that day. Well, you need permission to carry a weapon.
Yes.
So to walk the streets with a weapon without the legal permits for the carrying is against the law. So the Chronicle decided they would make excuses for the man. They did. So you can't trust what you read in the mainstream media. My sister was probably at that meeting.
I just wanted to say, Brother Keith, what really, along with this, is that this gentleman came in, other people, he had been previously known to surveillance the mosque. His face was known once he was identified. He also, everyone was asked to sign in. He had given a different name than what his actual name turned out to. So he signed in under a false name. That's what really, started the, well, wait a minute. You have, there are two permits. You have to first have a permit that this weapon belongs to you with your correct name that matches your ID. That's the first permit. The second permit is that now you can also have it concealed. So that's where the thing just really got out of hand, that he didn't need, when they asked him what his name was, couldn't find him.
Now, and just listening to what you're hearing now, have you ever wondered if, when we've met on the Oscar Grant matter, whether or not Bart had officers in these meetings? You've seen them? Yes, sir. Yeah, we've seen them. So we surely should know that we are fighting for justice, and one thing that we are all clear about is we will surely win.
Yes.
This is a new kind of time. This is not the kind of time that we should be divided. This is the time that has seen more unity in the community probably than in any other time in U.S. history.
That's right.
I haven't seen this broad range in my study of history of united efforts, churches, mosques, Latino, Black, Caucasian, students, senior citizens, elected officials. This has never happened before. We're in the midst of something very unique, and quite frankly, what we bring to the table is the only hope for the state.
That's it.
Now, this is why when we rallied for the Caravan for Justice, we want very clearly the legislators to know the things that you have been doing have not worked. They've only added fuel to the fire.
Yes.
We have got to demand our legislators do something drastically different where the incarcerated community is concerned, where gang injunctions are concerned, where public finance of education is concerned. It's really the time that all of these forces that know what is best, right, and good for the community now have to sit down, eliminate every excuse we have about uniting. And once we see what the goal is, we know that any in these circles that rise up against that goal has declared themselves to be an enemy to truth, right, and justice. It's coming down to that. No excuse that we can give to not